Hello friends, this is Aman Alok from Coded, and as we have been going through the lessons of web designing, and we have already seen the like the introduction of HTML and some very basic tags of it. So now we'll be learning newer tags, and we will implement all whatever we have learned, and we'll try to create a form in HTML, and it is something like a hands-off experience for you people. So, okay, which website you visit the most? I would say for myself that I visit maybe Google and Facebook the most. So, what happens there? Like as we have shown in our first lesson, introduction to HTML, that Google image where you were at the home page of the Google. So the very first thing you do is to input some data what you want to search on Google in a text box. Similarly, in Facebook, there are like text boxes, and you are inputting your maybe username and password, and the magical worlds of Facebook opens. So, like internet is all about exchanging data, and you input data a lot number of times. So, friends, this is done via using the input tag. So now you simply write name in the body or whatever you want to write, and it becomes a plain text. Like here, the enter the name is, you simply write it, enter the name in BZ, that is then body anywhere, and then you like it will appear simply like a text. But when you have to input a text box on the screen, the input tag is used. So in angular brackets you write input, and then type is equals to text, and then you can close it. So friends, what is type all about? So you must have observed that when you are inputting your password, it becomes like it appears as hidden characters, but when you're typing your username, you can see what you're typing. So type is equals to text makes whatever you input as textual input in it. Like you can see Aman in the text box, that is a text had, but like in the password you have to put input type is equals to password. So these are all inbuilt in HTML. You don't have to create a like in some programming language a function to do this. You can simply type input type is equals to text, or you can simply mention input type equals to password. Now what is placeholder? You can see that I haven't typed anything in the password input box, but still I can see password in a blurred manner. So yes, it happens a lot of times. Like you must have observed whenever like you're spatially filling forms, they already mention something in blurred form, and when you start typing over there, it just disappears. So this is what is placeholder is all about, what I have written. So friends, you might get confused, you might feel a bit confused that input, then I have put type, then placeholder, then required, then value, then read only. So what all of this is all about? So it is something like that input is a tag, and type, placeholder, etc. are its attributes. So you can just relate it to something like there is something called tag, and there are its properties what you can define. That type can be text, password, email, etc. Placeholder can be any word you mention. Then okay, what is required? So required is equals to, in quotes, required, when you're filling some of the forms and there are essential data to be filled. If you don't fill them, you won't be able to submit your form. Usually they are your name and email ID. So when you put required equals to required in any input type, so form won't accept submission unless you have filled that particular entry. And then value is equals to Aman is something that it is like the for initial value inside the control. It is like a by default value. If you want all the names to be user, so you can simply define values equals to user. If someone wants to edit, can edit. But when I have just written read only, so it won't let you write, it will only read. So and then I can also define size equals to 100. So friends, you can just see that within a tag you can define a lot number of attributes. It totally depends upon your knowledge how much attributes you can exploit. Like if you had not known what required can do, what placeholder can do, you won't be able to utilize the importance of all these attributes. So please friends, whenever you are learning a tag, please just go through the attributes about it so that you can manipulate your presentation according to the need. Now, uh, enter your password. It is that I mentioned that within body you simply you can write enter your password anywhere, and it will simply appear as a text, and then input type is equals to password. As you had seen, as I had mentioned, that type is equals to text was there, but you have just put type is equals to password. So now every character what you input will be in hidden format, and placeholder is equals to format. So it is just doing the same work what it was doing in the previous slide. As you can see here, that password is visible in a blurred format. So now again required is equals to required. I have put that is again attribute, that it is very compulsory in this form to put your password, or else form won't get submitted. Max length is now a new attribute. Friends, I'm again telling you, you should have knowledge about attributes. Max length is equals to 8 is something which won't allow you to type anything more lengthier than 8 characters in length. So your password can be max of length 8. So friends, you might, you like encounter all these things in internet already, but you are seeing it through the eyes of HTML now. And now friends, let's go to the next slide. Okay, so I believe all of you have given exams, mostly engineers and medical people, the MCQ. So in multiple choice question, we had two type of questions. Like we have two type of questions. One have one single answer type and one have multiple answer type. So friends, radio button is something which lets you to tick on one answer or one option. Like in 6, you can't just tick on male female both, it will be one. So when we will be clicking on male, it will be male, when female, it will be female. So this is done via the radio button. So friends, this is the way to write it. Male input type is equals to name, and name is radio. What name and values are we'll be discussing later. And then female, again input type is equals to radio, and we have given it a name radio. Now friends, there is input type equals to reset. It will, when clicking on it, it simply resets the form data to its initial value. So friends, just let us just this is quite easy, you can get it. Whenever you have to get one choice out of a given number of choices, you can simply put radio buttons, and HTML will allow the user to take on the one of the options in the provision. And like if you have filled a lot of entries wrongly, you can simply press on the reset button, and it will simply reset all the data to the initial, like a blank form. Now friends, here is again an input type which we usually fill when filling any kind of form. So that is your email. So again, enter your email is written outside of any any tags inside the body, and it is plain text as visible there. And as you had been taught in the previous lesson, you could bold it, italic, you could use italic on it, even heading on it. So you had to write in those, within those attributes, but if you write it plainly, it will simply appear on your screen. And then you have mentioned input type is equals to email. Again friends, what is all about email is something which makes the user to write, to put at the rate in between for compulsory. If you don't write abc at xyz.com, it won't get accepted. The input, this box will always search for an at the rate followed by some words and preceded by some words. So this will help you, like when you're creating a form and you don't want any kind of nonsense entries in your form, so you can put all these commands, and like max length, and this attribute like type is equals to email instead of plain text, because if somebody is just writing xyz in the place of email, then the form won't get accepted. They have to mention a proper mail ID. Now friends, when there is one input type is equals to number, so it is something that input should only contain numeric values, that is 0 to 9. And your again, this these are all to to control the environment, so that you don't have any kind of noise, any kind of useless entries in your form. So if something is about percentage, and if someone is putting anything like ABC in it, it will reject if you have put the type as number. Now friends, again, as I had mentioned, like we have given multiple choice question exams. So when the question is all about multiple answers, not only single answer correct type, then you can use checkbox. So checkbox is something which is again it like input control, which takes many options for one provision, one question. So like if I'm asking someone for their qualification, and there is 10th pass, 12th pass, maybe BTech, PhD, and if somebody is a PhD, so they'll mention everything, friends. Like they can put tick on all of those boxes. So this is checkbox, and now that checkbox and radio are two different things, and they can be exploited as per your use. And as you can see a demo here, that in the checkbox they are coming square like blank spaces. You can simply tick on multiple of them, and it will, my friends, help you to get entries by in a lot of answers type. And there is something called like, okay, you could see this 1999 in enter the year. So friends, you must have encountered this particular thing, where there is a drop down option, and you can choose any of the options, especially like in government sites when you are selecting your state. So you can simply go there, and they'll drop down all the existing states. So this is, friends, to when you want your user to like you're trying to save the time of the user in typing the thing, like the permanent options are already there, and you don't want to create them in an ordered list or an unordered list. As we had covered the list part in previous lesson, you don't want it to be in list to save the space, but the drop down, that whenever it is clicked, then only it appear. Then friends, you can simply use this select and option thing. Like I have put the enter the year as it was displayed in the text, as you can see the plain text, and then I have seen select, and then the options are 1999, 2000, and like whatever number of inputs you want, you can put, and closing it. So hidden type also we have explained. Type hidden is something like it is specific search, and it will become something like a search tool, where you can simply input things and search on your web page. Now friends, submit. We'll be giving some time on submit. Please try to understand. Submit is different than other buttons. Input type is equals to button is one of the tags in HTML attribute of input, but submit is totally different than any normal button. If you create a button and name it submit using the value or something, it won't do the job of submit button at all. Submit is something which is the life force to connect your HTML with your servers and databases. Now friends, we'll be explaining the use of submit when we are doing any backend language like PHP or Python, etc. But for now, please do not confuse submit with any normal button. Submit is really a very powerful tool that is provided in HTML. So friends, using this knowledge what you have gained right now, using this input tag, as well as what you had learned in the basics part, please try to create a very beautiful form consisting of all of these things. And maybe you can also create newspaper columns of yourself by using heading and line break, horizontal line, etc., paragraphs. So friends, now you are in a state to create a lot of things. And again, I like to explain you a little why forms. So friends, internet is in major about the exchange of data, as I already explained, and forms are the ways to connect the user with service providers. Maybe let them be Facebook, let them be Google, and whatnot. Like your login page where you are doing login is a kind of form. So there can be a lot of tags in a form as per a lot of entries, and a very small form like of Facebook. Or even friends, the search part, the home page of Google is a kind of form where you input one entry, your whatever you want to search, and you click on search and things appear. So internet is filled with forms, my friends, and this is really important. So please do practice forms as well as implement the basic things, and try to have them in your memory, that whenever you want to use them you can exploit them anytime. Thank you.